I'm going to share with you a great copywriting strategy that you are going to love. You're going to find it extremely valuable. It's going to help you sell more product, and it's going to help you establish yourself as an authority in your niche. And it's all by implementing this simple strategy. But to teach you this strategy, I'm going to tell you a story because I love stories. This one is about Thomas Edison. Now, as you probably are aware, Thomas Edison had some of the best inventions, some of the most inventions in our history, including the light bulb. One that he is not well known for, but really should be, is the phonograph. Now, the phonograph, the reason it's not well known is because we don't fully grasp the magnitude of what this device did. So when you ask people what's one of his best inventions, they're going to say phonograph, but we don't fully understand how this changed the entire world, because what it really should be credited for is the ability to record sound. And recording sound is something you and I take advantage of or take for granted because we've grown up our whole lives hearing recordings and seeing recordings and watching movies that have recorded sound. But that did not exist until Thomas Edison invented the phonograph. No one had ever even understood that you could record sound and then play it back. And if you read some of the descriptions of what this device did when it came out, it's really telling because people couldn't even wrap their head around what it was and what it was doing. They would say the descriptions of it were like a device that can write down the sound that they hear on paper and then play it back at any point in time in any place. And it was all this, it was so confusing to people because recording sound had never been done. And how it happened, which is really cool, is that Thomas Edison was actually deaf or mostly deaf. And so how he heard things was by feeling the vibrations. There's stories of how he would bite telegraph lines. I don't know how that's possible. And he could pick up the chatter through his mouth, I guess. And that's how he could read the Morse code on the telegraph. And so when he was working on the telephone, which he had a big part in the invention of the telephone, he was having his finger on something as it was vibrating, and he understood that the vibrations made different, movements on the paper, and he figured out that they could actually put a needle on some paper and record the vibrations and then play it back. And so again, this revolutionized the whole world. But what was really interesting, which comes to our story, is when they recorded sound on paper, and they would record Mary Had a Little Lamb, someone saying it, and then they would play it to people. They'd say, okay, we want you to tell us what you hear. And they would play it. People had no idea what they were hearing. Even though it was clear, they couldn't understand it because, again, this was something they never even thought was possible. And so they did this experiment over and over again. They asked people, what do you hear? They'd play the sound, and they couldn't hear it. And then they would ask other people, okay, I'm going to play a recording of someone speaking. Tell me what you hear. And they'd play it. 100% of the time, the people understood every word that they said. Mary had a little lamb. So why was it that when they just said, tell me what you hear, they couldn't figure it out? But when they explained that this was a recording of someone's voice, people could hear it. Well, this is called pre-framing. Pre-framing is when you set the person, the audience, up for what they're about to hear or read or watch or whatever. I did it at the beginning of this video. I said, I'm going to share a strategy with you that you're going to love. You're going to find it extremely valuable. It's going to help you. Okay, that's pre-framing. I am coming at you and I'm setting up everything that's about to happen by telling you the outcome at the front end. So when you are writing or recording videos or doing anything that you're trying to get the reader to take an action or get them to get value out of what you're presenting to them, pre-frame it. So start it off by telling them how great it is and how wonderful or the value that they're going to get out of what you're about to present to them. So if you start your blog posts or your emails or your social media posts out with pre-framing by setting the reader or the listener or the viewer up with the expected outcome, you are infinitely more likely to have them get that outcome. And then when you try and get them to take the action, they're much more likely to do so. All right.